Certainly the best. ITV.
Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to This Morning on ITV, on the ITV network, where, of course, we get to discuss the salient issues that are shaping our political and social landscape here in Nigeria. I'm Chukwufumnanya Digwe, and just to let you know, we do this across 3 network centers: Benin here, Lagos, and Abuja. I'm here in our Benin Network Center, and I have with me Dr. Sonny Duke Okosun. A wonderful morning to you, Dr. Sonny Duke.
Good morning, Chukwufunanya. It's always a delight to be with you on the show, TMI, on the ITV network. I mean, we raise the curtains on the show from our Benin Network studio every Monday, and then, of course, connect with our colleagues from the other network studios in Abuja and, of course, in Lagos. Today is a beautiful day. We are in the euphoria of International Women's Day. I'm really interested in the theme for this year's celebration.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It says give to gain, which is just the general thing in our lives. I mean, we men, we always give women, we always give women.
I don't think that is the perspective that it's framed
I was
to.
expecting that with this theme, which is give to gain, we are telling women to also cultivate the culture to give.
But I believe that celebrating International Women's Day actually just goes to spotlight the contributions of women to society. It shows what we give, out to society, and hopefully we can gain that back from the same society in terms of representation and equality.
I agree with you absolutely. Every year, that's the general objective, right? To spotlight.
But on the flip side.
The general objective of the International Women's Day, IWD, is to look at what women are doing and how we can, support that more, right? So they can make more impact. And then most importantly, I think the most dominant issue in the space for women politically has been the reserved seats for women bill. And one woman who has been frontal in engaging in that issue is the APC National Woman Leader, Dr. Mary Alile Ideri. She'll be very frontal alongside the wife of Mr. President. And I hope that bill says through ultimately, so we can have more women representation. And I know definitely it will spur them to do more. It will give them that political space to contribute more to the society. But with the theme for this year, I want to see more women give to give.
I hope we don't get to give until we are depleted, because if you ask me, we do give a lot already. And just so we do not leave them out of this conversation, because they have a lot to contribute, from our Abuja Network Center, Joseph Kadiri is standing by to join the conversation. Good morning, Joseph. How's it in Abuja this morning?
Well, a very good morning to you, Dr. Duke, and of course, Chukwufunanya and our colleague. She's looking so bright in Lagos with that, what do you call that color of hair now? Blonde? All right, that looks very beautiful on you. Okay, talking about the IWD, the International Women's Day, the atmosphere is still very fresh with that celebration. And of course, when you look at it, you want to take a dimension to IWD. You again have to localize it to how women are seen in your community, in your society, if possible, in your village. How do men see women? But of course, when you look at the whole gamut of how women are seen, you want to turn it into the obstacle they face, the barriers, of course, that come with it. You want to look at the discriminatory laws against women, and of course you want to look at the representation, in government. Like Sonny Duke said, the issue of women bill is still hanging there. That, if you ask some expert, they will tell you it will never come to limelight, because the same way women compete for some academic exercise, like taking JAM, meeting cutoff points, getting admission, the same way they contest with their male counterparts, the same way that politics works. You have to get a form, you have to make yourself known and relevant, you have to cajole the people, you have to, even before you aspire to represent them, you must be someone who has taken care of their bills in one way or the other. So what the men can do, women can do better. So that bill, for some people, leave it, women go contest the way the male counterparts are contesting. But when it comes to the issue of discriminatory law, it is really endless. In some communities, when a woman lost her husband, the woman is meant to take some terrible oaths before some deadly oracles, so to speak. But when a man lost his wife, that kind of procedure is not applicable. Why should a man pass and the woman is meant to, pass through some very terrible exercise? But it doesn't happen when a man lost his wife. And of course, when it comes to the issue of inheritance, yes, we know that the Supreme Court has settled that a woman can also inherit her father's property. But is it applicable at the community level? Is there a law at the community level that says, well, the disease has male and female, and the property can be shared equally among them? So these discriminatory law are some of the things that are not really giving women a breath of fresh air. Dr. Duke.
Thank you so much, Joseph Kadri, for your disposition on that. Definitely a lot to unpack following the International Women's Day celebration. A special welcome to you, my fellow woman, Mercelina, of course, standing by in our Lagos Network Center. In light of the celebration, I celebrate you. Good morning. How's it in Lagos? How are you doing?
Good morning, Chukwumfunaya. Good morning, Joseph Kadri, and of course, Dr. Sonny Duke. Beautiful morning to you all. It's a beautiful day here in Lagos. I mean, a beautiful week, a bright day. Happy International Women's Day to you too, Chukwumfunaya. I mean, women needs to be celebrated more, in the society. Okay, let's take a look at, let's look at it in terms of the political aspects. Some persons, there's this thing, or there's this thing that makes people feel, okay, women are not, needed in a political space. No, I feel women need to, be given more, would I say, attention in terms of the political space. There's a saying, I mean, what a man can do, a woman can do better. So I feel in terms of political space, women needs to be given, they need to be given attention more in terms of that space. And also, this whole thing is equal, just the way women are celebrated. I would say women deserve to be celebrated every day. I mean, the men, they're also celebrated, but celebrating women, it's one thing I would say, if possible, they should be celebrated every day, because I mean, this gender, okay, we're going through a lot, Well, in terms of political space, the women need to be considered more, thinking that because she's or because this person is a woman is not fit for that position. I mean, it's not right. Women needs to be, given the chance to prove themselves or to prove what we can do. Okay, that is in terms of political space. The theme of this year's International Women's Day, Gifts Again. Dr. Sonny Duke was saying that they're trying to tell the women, not just expecting from men, also give. I mean, women gives. It's not just the men that gives. Okay, but from Lagos today, we are not going to be talking about that. We would be looking at the Electoral Act controversy ahead of 2027 election. Whatever we are doing in the electoral space at this point is we're looking ahead of 2027 elections. So basically, we would be focusing on 2027, the Electoral Act controversy ahead of 2027 election.
All right, thank you so much, Mercelina, for your disposition on that, and also the insights as to what you'd be having this morning. Dr. Sonny, you seem to have something to say.
Because while Mercelina was talking,
okay.
I wanted to say that, in line with the theme which she highlighted, give to gain, I was expecting either you, Anu Oluwapo Stevens, or Mercelina would come to the studio today with a massive cake and some drinks as part of the give to gain, so we can celebrate you people.
This is it.
Or celebrate with you people.
I think you're flipping the narrative. We have this. We've dispensed so much to society and even this organization that we expect to gain.
That's why we have International Women's Day.
Okay.
We have International Mother's Day, Grandmother's Day, Great Grandmother's Day, Girl Child Day, Female Child Day. Which other one again? I mean, the list is endless. We could just go on and on for the next 2 hours counting them. When do we really celebrate Men's Day? When?
Well, let us just have it for today. As yesterday, as you know, we did get to celebrate International Women's Day, a global moment to honor the strength, the resilience, and achievements of women. And we've gotten to, just highlight that in our opening segments right here on TMI on the ITV network. We'll take a short intermission now and take some commercial breaks, and then when we're back, we'll commence our newspaper review segment. Stay with us. Welcome back, dearest viewer. We'll now move to the next leg of our program this morning on ITV, the newspaper review segment. Let's take a look at the headlines on the national dailies and maybe have a little analysis on the topical ones. The top of the list is the Nigerian Tribune. Headline there says, resolution of OPL 245 disputes, turning points for oil and gas sector. Who says this? The AGF Fagbemi. That story is on page 2. Also on Nigerian Tribune, ADC flays Akpabio for dismissing opposition's objection to Electoral Act 2026. Get to read all about that story on page 22. Moving on, Iran war, federal government activates diplomatic channels, consular alerts to protect citizens. That story is on page 4. In more stories, on the Electoral Act, political parties defer over IPAC's threats to boycott 2027 elections. More on that says it is desirable, says the NNPP. It's too early but not foreclosed, says the ADC. Our focus is how to put our house in order, says the LP. We are against undemocratic schemes of APC-controlled National Assembly. This is said by the SDP. We will encourage them to boycott, says the APC. And lawyers, CSOs also weigh in, and this story is on page 22. More on the Nigerian Tribune says, editors inaugurate committee on research training, publications, say committee to bridge gap between academic training, professional practice. Moving on, Benin City wins 1 million Global Innovation Prize in Bloomberg Mayor's Challenge. That story is on page 3. In more news on the Nigerian Tribune, hope rises for PDP as Olawepo's shuttle diplomacy yields breakthrough. On health, we see daily soft drink, regardless of sugar content, may harm body immunity, gut health. This is said by researchers, and it's on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. More of the Nigerian Tribune headline says, shockwaves across construction sector as cement sells between 11,500 naira and 15,000 naira per bag. That's on page 7. It says developers call for stakeholders engagement. Now, finally, on Nigerian Tribune, it says NLC raises alarm over alleged 20 billion naira heist in TCN. Says it's looting plan disguised as emergency refurbishment. Seeks Power Ministry's intervention. Wants the FCC, ICPC to investigate. Now, those are the stories on the Nigerian Tribune.
Fantastic story, but I just want to say that one story that really got my attention there is the refurbishment in the TCN, which the NLC is alleging is a ploy to siphon billions of naira. And when you hear things like this, it upsets your stomach, upsets your system, upsets your psyche, because we're talking about a country that has one of the poorest installed capacity in terms of as a matter of fact, the installed capacity for energy production is very high, but what is available for the average Nigerian is very, very low because of poor networks, poor infrastructure and facilities. That's
been something that's been in the crux of conversation in most social spaces now, even on social media, how poor power has been.
It's terrible.
It's very disheartening.
Terrible. I mean, just a few days ago, last week, we saw the civil society in Edo State come all out, mobilize themselves to protest, particularly what the Benin Electricity Distribution Company is
really
doing.
Getting it hot.
Yeah, and they came all out to protest that. I mean, in the days of the immediate past administration of Governor Godwin Obaseki, there was an alternative, the Oshomo Power Plant. That's completely grounded. Whatever the issues, whatever they are, we are not interested. The Edo people are not interested in the political issues or the other underlying current. We just want to have power to live our lives normally, do our businesses, whether it's coming from BEDC, whether it's coming from Oshomo, we don't care. And sadly, in that protest, the governor joined them to say he too is feeling the brunt of lack of power.
That was something else.
So it was a case of if they are crying to the governor and the governor cries to them, who are they going to channel their complaints to? It was just something else on that. But I'm hoping that government will actually listen to the voice of reasoning and do something about this. Let's look at what we have on the New Telegraph. Interesting stories on the New Telegraph. It says financial institutions payments rise by 135.5% to 1.34 trillion naira. All right, you have that story on page 3. Okay, then you have this story on page 17. It says Chinese vehicles gain ground in Nigeria as value of parts import hits 1.6 trillion naira. That's on page 17. More for you on the New Telegraph. Imo, FG targets 15 million households in social protection expansion. This coming from Edo. As Akpabio, Remi Tinubu, others celebrate Nigerian women. You find those stories on page 3, 7, and 6. Also on the Nigerian Telegraph, the New Telegraph, you have, I will challenge 2026 Electoral Act in court. Peter Obi is speaking there. And of course, donates 50 million naira to 2 universities. You find those stories on page 3 and 5. FG protests as 42 Nigerians beaten, arrested in Mozambique. All right, on page 2, you find that story. IGP replaces Sudain with Placid as first spokesman. That story is on page 4. All right, more stories for you. And on the New Telegraph, it says Middle East crisis, fuel will hit 1,500 naira per liter in Nigeria if conflict persists. This is coming from Petron. All right. So what is government doing about this? Should we invoke fuel subsidy to checkmate this? And then still on the New Telegraph, it says NLC alleges TCN officials are plotting to divert 20 billion naira. Exactly what I was talking about. How can we be talking about such a thing happening when at the moment the energy sector in Nigeria is completely in comatose? If this is true, we need to investigate it. We need to get the police, get the ICPC, get the EFCC involved in investigating this and bringing it to reality. Now we are seeing the latest update from the Middle East, where Mujtaba Khomeini has now been announced as the new supreme leader of the Islamic Republic
and
of
Trump
Iran.
isn't having it as he would not.
Yeah, he wouldn't. And of course, they're also saying that Trump can't have a say in how the new leader emerges. Only the Iranian people. And I'm sure they've done that. I'm so keen
on seeing how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm sure
they
they've done that.
wouldn't be needing a replacement if Trump did not, should I say, slay Ayatollah Khamenei.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope they're able to put their acts together and protect this new leader, because Israel is on the sprawl, US is on the sprawl, because we have on good authority that he's also a hardliner. So which means most likely he's going to continue with the policies, the ideology of the past leaders of proxy wars against Iran, with Hezbollah in Lebanon, with Houthis in Yemen, with Hamas in Israel, and all of these proxy wars that they are fighting at the detriment of their own people. And it's quite sad. And look at the damage they are doing across the Gulf states. Those states who are housing U.S. interests, they're attacking them back to back. Sometimes they even go outside those bases to hit hotels, refineries, and all of those infrastructures in the Middle East, which is just uncalled for.
Yes, I do think so. But the terrorism in Iran has just eaten up the whole crop of things. It's religious. It's just beyond things. And I did feel like there would be celebration when Trump got to come in and, change things. But it's crazy to see that they are still hampering on what they want.
Part of the Trump came on the scene on the premise of no more wars. No more wars. You know, America should be avoiding fighting needless wars across all the region. But if you look at the history, the trajectory of Iran, from Obama to Biden, and then, of course, Trump's first tenure, and then now his second tenure, there have been agreements surrounding the nuclear...
A lot of people will say that U.S. is now fighting Israel's war.
Well, not exactly. Not exactly, because when you look at the trajectory, which is what I was trying to explain, from Obama through Biden and then to Trump today, we've seen others transpired, efforts that were made to engage Iran to de-escalate their nuclear armament. Because for a country that is known to be perennially involved in fighting and sponsoring and exporting terrorism to other parts of the world. I mean, and then with the comments like death to America, death to Israel, well, we are going to wipe Israel off the map of the world. Those are not empty threats. They meant every bit of those words. If such a country now has nuclear weapon, what do you think will become of the world? I mean, you have a monster in the likes of Kim Jong-un, the king of trouble in North Korea. Today is an untouchable because he's got nukes. Every time he's doing test drills and all of that, because he's looking forward to the opportunity where he will use one of these countries to test his nuclear weapon. So you think the world will just sit down and allow Iran to have nuclear weapon? I told somebody, I did a video, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, that
which I think I saw.
What Iran is doing now, attacking the Gulf states, about 11 of them, is exactly what Iran would have done if they have nuclear weapon. They will now become the god of the Gulf states. Any country, any president that tries to talk to them anyhow, they will threaten them with nuclear weapon. India has nuclear weapon. Pakistan has nuclear weapon. Israel, US, Russia, several of them. Have you heard them at any point in time saying they are going to wipe out a country, a sovereign state from the face of the earth? No. So this is why and how we got here now. But I'm hoping that with their new supreme leader, they'll be able to provide a protective shield around him to avoid those Tomahawk missiles, Patriot missiles, interballistic, continental ballistic missiles from US and Iran, using all the most sophisticated, you know, airplanes and warplanes to bring him down. Because in this war, we have seen something. I have seen something. I mean, the Iranian skies is literally lit up with planes, drones, and then you're beginning to see an opportunity for some of these big powers in the world to showcase all they have amassed over the years. They are testing some new weapons. They are testing some new drones, some new aircraft. They've been in the cooler all this while. So it's an opportunity to tell. But at the end of the day, who suffers? The people. Exactly. Death toll should be over 2,000 in Iran as we speak at the moment. Quite sad.
Quite sad. Although on the acquiring of nuclear weapons by Iran, the governments in the past came out to say it's purely civilian. But like you said, they're a country with a background of terrorism. So how do you really trust that? We hope to see this de-escalate, and we'll keep you in tab as the issue develops. Now we'll move on to our next point of call, which is Leadership newspaper. Let's see the headlines there. One of the headlines says, Tinubu's resolution of OPL 245 dispute will strengthen the economy, as said by Fagbemi. Also on Leadership, Kanu government reacts to Kwankwansiya defense deputy governor over 1.1 billion naira allegation. And that's on page 6. Also on Leadership newspaper, operator retailers project 1,500 naira petrol price as crude nears $100 on Hormuz closure. Also on Leadership, Wike confirms appointment of 1,659 FCTA workers employed in 2016 and 2019. That's on page 16. Moving on, Kebbi government warrants clerics against inciting comments. That's on page 26. On page 4, you see Assembly speakers back creation of state police. Also on leadership newspaper, bandits kill 1, kidnap 5 in Sokoto, and that's on the security situation in the country. You get to read all about that story in leadership newspaper on page 26. Also on leadership, DCP Anthony Placid replaces Hundeyin as Force Public Relations Officer. That's on page 14. Seems the new IGP is reshaping his cabinet. Moving on the foreign scene, Iran names Ali Khamenei's second son, Mojtaba, new supreme leader. Party politics, PDP governors call for calm as appeal court rules on leadership crisis today, and that's on page 30. Now we'll move on to our next point of call.
I'm seeing this story also trending, the story that has to do with state police creation. But we're seeing divergent views coming on board with the Southeast saying they prefer the creation of regional police. But assembly speakers...
How does that work?
Yeah, because it's currently operational in the West. You have the Amotekun Corps. It's not a state police. It's a regional, policing, community policing structure. And every other state in the West seems to be buying into it, all right? I think the idea is to dissipate or weaken the influence of state chief executives, because the real concern is that there's the possibility of state chief executives abusing state police. I mean, when you look at what has been happening around the country where thugs are sponsored, you may just have a situation wherein some of these thugs will now become integral parts of the state police, and then we use them against opponents, use them in election, perpetrate violence and stuff. That has been the concern. But if you look at what has been going on across the country with the level of banditry, the level of insecurity, level of kidnappings, this is something that we need so that we can effectively police our communities and change the narrative. Let's take a look at what we have with This Day newspaper. On this day, it says, African women celebrate strength, call for change at Arise's Women of Impact Award. All right? And then Iran picks Mojtaba Khamenei's son as new supreme leader. Oil price exceeds $115 per barrel. More on these stories if you get a copy of This Day. The writers there says, Trump, Netanyahu, he won't last. Talking about the new leader.
Yes,
all right.
yes.
Then Sturmer, U.S. president, speak for first time since since Iran war. All right. Sturmer and Trump, they've been a loggerheads war of words since the Iran war broke out. And then Saudi Arabia reports first deaths, exactly what we're talking about.
Saudi Arabia is already a recipient of all of this trouble.
Of course, because it's part of the Gulf states that houses some of Americans' bases. And
if this is not de-escalated, we'll get to see more of this.
Of course. I know President Khan, the president of Iran, did apologize, over the weekend, saying with the way the war turned out, it gave them no chance to do what they are doing. But it's mercy after death, because in those attacks, infrastructures were destroyed, people were killed, all right, unfortunately. Okay, we've got this story, big one on This Day. It says, FAC reconciliation. NNPCL consultants failed to agree on $42.3 billion under remittance to Federation. All right, the writers there, we have nothing to refund to FG. NNPC insists. Ad hoc panel set to tour controversial multi-billionaire frontier exploration projects. Governors call for stronger oversight of Federation revenue streams. Senate may invite Tinubu over 210 trillion naira discrepancy in NNPC audited accounts. All right, more stories for you on This Day. Get a copy of This Day. Learn more and know more. But I hope that with all these basketballs around the unremitted, unaccounted for $42.2 billion. And then, of course, a staggering 210 trillion naira, for which the Senate is planning to invite Mr. President. We hope there won't be backdoor engagement and interactions.
All of these overwhelming amounts where people are suffering, there's no lights, it's just beyond thoughts. But it's not a novel idea in Nigeria to see, you know, corruption happen and to see money being diverted while the people suffer. Okay,
interesting stories for you there on our papers review segment. Let's quickly look at what we have on The Guardian. On The Guardian newspaper. It says stakeholders may forfeit dividends. CBN penalizes insider abuse. Top story on The Guardian newspaper. 2027 polls will be Nigerians against bad leadership, says Obi. International Women's Day. NHRC raises alarm over early marriages. SERAP sues FG over alleged mass phone tapping allegations. Petrol price may hit 1,500 naira per litre as Dangote refinery loading stores. Bandits attack Sokoto community as Zamfara holds emergency security meeting. And then NIDCAM Nido Flay arrest of 42 Nigerians in Mozambique demand release. Customs blames banks, others for failed 24 hours port operation. More on these stories if you got a copy of The Guardian newspaper.
All right, well, here's where we draw the curtain on the newspaper review segment on This Morning on ITV. It's been such a great time, as you know, insightful, and we did unpack a lot here. We'll take an intermission now, after which we'll proceed to the most important part of this program, which is the discussion segment. Don't go anywhere.
This is Anegbete community, situated in Isako Central Local Government area of Edo State. It is an agrarian community with united people that promotes unity and oneness for peaceful coexistence. The inhabitants of the community migrated from Benin, the cradle of black civilization, a kingdom where king is truly king. The ancestors of Anegbete saw that age was the main determinant of leadership in the rural setting, and the eldest man in the settlement was regarded as the leader who presided over meetings, and his authority is held in high esteem. To further strengthen this unique system of leadership, age group evolved in Anegbete. In Anegbete, age group is categorized into two, that is the common and the noble. Anegbete is rich in cultural heritage, as the community at noon saw the commitment of the festival with the first set roll out in beauty colors to showcase their might and strength, indicating their feet and ready for the responsibilities behold on them. The streets in the community with a feed up of young men and women adorned with the festival. Later, the royal family takes the stage as their children fight out royally and work in the community to showcase their might and fitness.
My leader.
Welcome back to TMI on the ITV network. As I did tell you before, we're now in our discussion segment. And as you know, yesterday was International Women's Day. Yes, 2026, March 8th. And there's definitely a lot to unpack as we honor the strength, resilience, and achievements of women across communities and around the world. Women are leaders, they're innovators, they're caregivers, entrepreneurs, and change makers, driving progress in homes, workplaces, and in the society, from grassroots advocacy to policy makers. And to discuss this, not just to celebrate women, but also to talk about how we can harness female development in our society, female inclusion, and how we can also give more to the woman as she also gives out to the society. I have two insightful women right here on the program from our Benin Network Center. Right here in the studio, I have Comrade Doris Ogbeifun. She is a civil rights activist joining on the program. Good morning to you. Still in light of International Women's Day, I would say I celebrate you.
Thank you so much.
All right, and also joining virtually, I have Comrade Annie Umoru. She is also a civil rights activist. She happens to be a woman, so it's International Women's Day season, and I would also say I celebrate you and good morning to you.
Good morning, and I celebrate you too.
All right, we all know what the theme is. The theme that's going around globally is give to gain. To you, Comrade Doris, what do you think about this year's International Women's Day. And do you think that women as it is get enough equality and representation in society, our society primarily?
Okay, in Nigeria, women are not getting much attention. Women are not given much needed attention, much needed resources, much needed space for them to do exploits. But when we say globally, like the essence, the inception, the historical context of International Women's Day, yes, in North America and Europe, women are striving better and the way it's supposed to be. So if we are celebrating the achievement of women globally, but when you come to the Nigerian context, it's a different ballgame. Nigerian women, as it is today, have suffered a lot of setbacks, a lot of discrimination that has cost us a lot in national development. You know, when women are not being considered, when women are relegated, when women are being made subjugated, when women are being made to be subservient to women, it affects the resources that we put up. It also affects our economy generally. So if we're celebrating International Women's Day, to me, in Nigeria, I always see it as a wake-up call, as something that we can leverage on. By marking today, we can leverage on the achievements that other women globally had done in terms of what happened in the 20th century, in early 1902 to 1912, where women in North America protested. They rose to demand for equal pay. You understand? They rose to demand for recognition and to end gender disparity in their means. So if such can be replicated in Nigeria without prejudice, without rancor, I mean, when I mean rancor, internal rancor, like women not supporting women, to couple with what we are passing through in terms of culture and other religious issues like discriminatory or harmful cultural practices that limit or a kind of obstructs women development in Nigeria. I would say that this International Women's Day celebration in Nigeria is something that we need to have a rethink, so that we can always achieve what is being meant for, not by mercy. We should not be using it as a catchword, where everybody, it will be too sweet in the mouth to just say Happy Women's Day, oh, we celebrate women. Meanwhile, your younger sister at home, your wife at home is being marginalized, maltreated, hated, disaggregated. You know, these are not what we pray for as a Nigerian woman. And for us, even my fellow gender who endeavor in working against each other, you know, seeing your fellow woman as a threat to you, it has to stop. Because if you really know whom you are, if you have that potential, you should not see your fellow woman as a threat. You should equally, the sky is enough, is big enough for each and every one of us to fly. So every Nigerian woman should have this at the back of their mind, that this celebration are supposed to be to celebrate women achievements, to raise awareness, are you getting me? And to also make sure that we promote gender parity in our means.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Doris. Now, so we can also hear from our guest standing by in Zoom, Comrade Annie. Tell me, what does this year's International Women's Day with a tag, Give to Gain, what does it mean for the work you do as an organization, and what does it mean for women in general in Nigeria? Well, hopefully we'll get to hear from her later on. Bringing it back to the studio, to Comrade Doris. I've heard you speak on some occasions, and I've heard how passionate you are about, you know, standing up for the girl child, especially in, you know, in places where they are marginalized, where the girl child is limited and maltreated. I heard you once upon a time speak very emphatically against female genital mutilation. What do you think specifically are the most dire of challenges that the Nigerian female experiences, and how can we nip it in the bud?
Okay, the challenges are enormous in Nigeria. It boils down to religious, cultural practices. If we talk about what is going on in Nigeria against the girl child, you will understand that there is no religion in Nigeria or even culture in Nigeria that promotes or supports the rights of the girl child, rights of women and the girl child. It becomes a challenge when we say, oh, we are rising to achieve gender equality in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the core issue, the driving force behind what we are suffering today lies in our family, in our community, and in the society at large, where women are being subjected to all manner of discrimination just for the fact that because of your gender, you are not entitled to so many things. If we begin to talk about the practice of female genital mutilation, it's a practice that emanated from the cultural practices, where it is being made compulsory that you as a female child, you must undergo circumcision, that your clitoris can be partially or completely removed in just to make you to not to be sexual promiscuous. That's how they used to put it, to tame you to always not have that urge, the sexual urge, to satisfy your urge sexually, so that your husband, you can always have your husband as the only person in your life. But nobody talks about what happens to the male child. Are you getting me? So we still have other practices, widowhood practices. Even some people have to go and do scan when they are pregnant and to find out if it is a male child or female. If it happens to be female, they will terminate the pregnancy because they value male child more than the female. I have seen occasions where men will rise up to kill their wife because she has not been able, or she was not able to give them a male child, or a man going ahead to become polygamous in nature because he is pursuing to have a male child, not considering what his chromosomes gives to the woman. So these are practices that have posed a threat to the life of Nigerian woman. Not only that, is also here in Nigeria that we will have children and parents will prefer to train their male child because they see it that it is the male child is their heir and the female child has no place in the family. We have seen situations where even right to inheritance, if it's a female child in Nigeria or a woman, you have no right to inheritance, maybe your father's inheritance or even your deceased partner or spouse. You are not entitled to inherit such property. So all these issues, all these harmful practices against women we have to stop. It is something that we must rise up to end. We must make sure culture is not something that is static. We must have it at the back of our mind that culture comes and goes. It evolves. It's not something that is permanent. So as things evolve, as we gradually embrace global best practices, where women across the world are striving and making change and even contributing meaningfully in their economy, we should equally embrace such and allow such to happen in our own society, not by embracing other European practices and their way of doing things, but when it has to do with promotion of women, girl child rights, it becomes a different ballgame. You know, it's the same your sibling, it's the same your parents who will make sure, deny you that right. You know, you can have 5 children, maybe your last born may happen to be a boy. You will jump those first 4 to go and make the last born your heir. It is assault. It's assault. How can we achieve development with this kind of absurd and
Comrade
archaic
Doris,
practices in the society.
permit me to cut you there, so we can also hear from Comrade Annie, standing by via Zoom. Comrade Annie, it's over to you now. 2026 International Women's Day, it centers on rights, on justice, and the tag globally is Give to Gain. What does this tell for the Nigerian female and for also the work that your organization does?
So good morning once again. For us, Give to Gain it speaks very profoundly to what we do, because over time, when you hear give, a lot of people assume that giving is just monetary. You understand? But for what we do, we give compassion, we give love, we give support, we give all that you can think of. Most times, what we women need, we give education, so I don't forget that. What we women need is just someone holding your hands to say, all will be well. What we need sometimes is someone who will just sit there and listen to you rant and complain and pour out your heart and then say, all will be well. So this year's Give to Gain, it's so much. For purpose of progress, every year we celebrate International Women's Day, and then we celebrate every little milestone. Every little successes we've had, we have to celebrate and then look at how to make it better, how to get to that point we really intend to get to. And so this year, Giving to Gain, you can give education, you can give moral support, you can give financial support, economic support, whatever kind of support you can give to. In fact, at some point, some level of support we are even clamoring now for women to give is don't judge your fellow women. If that's the only support that you can give, then give that as a support to your fellow woman. So that's on the question you asked.
So much, Comrade Annie. Now, just to move on from there to something else I'd want to draw your attention to. Comrade Doris here already spoke on it on her end, but I want you to highlight what are some of the biggest challenges you feel that the Nigerian woman faces, and how can all of us collectively as a society, as individuals, as women, how can we nip this in the bud?
So I heard my sister Doris talk about cultural issues, and that's one of the major things. Cultural challenges. I think we need to grow beyond it. The world is evolving. We have to evolve. We've seen cases where women will have issues in their marriages, in their homes, domestic violence, and then who are those mocking her? Women. A woman become widowed, and then who are those who are forcing her to go through all of those barbaric cultural practices? Women. And then they tell you it is tradition. I think we need to break free of all of that. That's the major thing. When we break free of tradition, for me, every other thing will become a walk in the park. For instance, a woman wants to aspire for a political position. And then you start hearing, in my tradition, women don't sit where men are sitting. Women don't talk about this. Women don't shake hands with men. If a woman can't shake her hand with a man, how does she sit with a man in a meeting? You get? So we need to really, really do a lot with breaking some of these cultural challenges. And some of the little progress, when we talk about the challenges, we also talk about some of the progresses that we're making. For us in Edo, the civil society activists in Edo, the gender ladies in Edo, Doris is also one of them. We've been having series of engagements with traditional rulers, with community leaders, to see how they can start breaking free of some of these cultural barriers that women are having. And I can tell you that we're not there yet, but we're making real progress. In some communities, in fact, I think in almost all the communities in Benin, then you would hear women don't talk where men are talking. But I can tell you now that there are some meetings that are being called by traditional rulers. They call some of us who have things to offer, things to say, what's your opinion? How do you think we can do this? So we are beginning to have those conversations with them. And many of them are becoming more enlightened. It will take time, yes, but we're making progress one step at a time. So yes, cultural barriers is something that we need as a people to grow out of.
These cultural practices that end up alienating women, marginalizing women, and maltreating women. There's something I'd like to highlight, that it's a thing of the mind sometimes. Some of these people, especially when you talk about things like female genital mutilation, is embedded in their culture. And when you try to talk about stopping these practices to these people, it seems like you are just speaking gibberish, or you're trying to kill culture. So how, let me speak to you now, Doris. How do you come to these people and, should I say, convince them to drop these practices? Or do you think that at this point it should be something that should be forceful?
No. What we need to do as a people is that our laws has to be people-oriented, so that at the end of the day, we don't make laws that will conflict with the doings, the norms, the tradition of the people. This culture and tradition is a way at which people, is an acceptable way of things in a given society, in a given environment. So if you want to make a law that will promote rights of women or rights of persons, it means that there will be need for you to properly consult stakeholders involved. All stakeholders involved has to be involved.
Okay.
If you are making laws that has to address the issues of culture and tradition in Nigeria, there should be enough consultation so that both stakeholders, all stakeholders can come together to iron out ways at which activities, practices can be republished, can be modernized. When we are talking about modernity, it does not mean that you will sit in the comfort of your office and begin to draft laws meant for the people. The law that you will draft that will be meant for the people should be people-oriented, by allowing the same people you are making those laws for to have an input into that law. There we will reach a compromise. You can also be able to convince them on the need at which they can drop those practices, those age-long practices, and embrace change. This change we talk about does not happen in a day. It is a work in progress. It's something that takes time. It's a step-by-step approach.
Yes.
It's something that we can achieve strategically. It is not by force. You can't just make laws and impose it on the people. You will end up having that law not implemented the way it's supposed to be. So if we are to address cultural and traditional practices in Nigeria, for instance, the law that we have that addresses all this manner of abuse and violence against persons, like the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, like in Edo State, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law. So this law has to be people-oriented. It does not mean that you have to have a law because you want to have a law. At the end of the day, the provisions of your law now be conflicting with what tradition and culture says. When you go to communities, for instance, even this FGM that we are talking about, when you go to the communities where all these practices are being unleashed against women or even against persons, where you will see jungle justice play. I'm giving you example. Yeah. Maybe where somebody will go and steal a goat. And their normal practice in that community will be that if you steal a goat, if you are alleged to have stolen a goat, you will be given 100 lashes of cane. You can see the level of assault that will be melted on such person. And it is based on allegation that has not been proven in court. So when you allow such thing to happen, you will end up having a law sitting, let's say for instance, at Government House or even House of Assembly, and in the pockets and offices of these custodians of this law. Meanwhile, in the rural level, the custodians of culture keep on practicing what they know how to practice best.
All right.
So it becomes a problem.
Comrade Doris, I have Comrade Annie also standing by, and I wouldn't want her to be left behind. But I want us to move away from these damaging cultural practices that undermine women now, and look more socially, look more politically. There's a lot of people that argue and are of the standpoint that women already get the equality that we've been hampering for. But I would beg to differ, as I know that you might too, Comrade Annie. But what realities are on ground to assess the fact that women do not get the representation and equality that some people think that they already do?
So the realities on ground. One, how many women are in our Edo State House of Assembly? How many women are currently at the helm of affairs? How many women do we have representing us? Like Doris had said earlier, you don't make laws or make provisions for a group of people when they are not represented. Now, who sits at the table where they need to have conversations about women? We alone can talk about what our issues are. So for me, we've not really done enough. Yes, they keep saying the space is open for women, you can come in. But how open is that space? How receptible is that space to us as women? So these are some of the things that we're looking at. If you have to put, for example, a meeting by 7:30, and the man is present at that meeting, it's obvious that the woman might not be at that time. Why? Because she also has to take care of the kids to school before attending that meeting. So yes, that's an example I just made. The space might be open, like they always say. There's free form, come and buy form politically. Women don't have to pay for their forms. But sincerely, how open is that space for women to be able to function well the way we ought to function? So for me, we've not done enough. We need to do more. We need to have a a women-oriented, not just women. It needs to be balanced, and that's all we have been clamoring for. Equality. It needs to be balanced for us,
Speaking
for the
on
women.
equality and women's rights, civil society organizations have, been very crucial in pushing for women's rights. And being that you're a civil society activist, I want to know what's one of the biggest frustration that you face when trying to, push for change and more inclusion, more equality for women?
To be honest, personally, one of the challenges we have, it's our women. When we clamor for change, when we clamor for equality, you see some of these women looking down on themselves already. You see some of these women already limiting themselves. I cannot do it. You see some of these women saying, no, a woman should not do this. There was a time some of us were supporting and saying, if a woman comes out to contest, whatever it is, women support women. Give her the necessary support she needs. Don't be the one pulling her down. Don't be the one trying to say, no, you cannot do it. So for me, in all of these campaigns that we've been having, all of these equality conversations we've been having, my biggest challenge are our women.
All right, thank you so much for your disposition on that, Comrade Annie. Comrade Doris, do you share the same plight as her in saying that the biggest frustration that she faces is the women themselves in seeking for women's rights?
Okay, to me, I dare to differ a bit to tell you that the basic frustration we have in Nigeria is ignorance. We really need to rise up to create more awareness, to carry people along, to empower women. And this has to be done with experts, those who has expertise in this angle, in terms of driving this change, in terms of enabling these women, training and retraining, community-based empowerment approaches. You know, we have to mobilize and mobilize and mobilize until everyone becomes conscious and aware of what their rights are. Basically, in the rural areas, they do not even understand that you, as a woman, you even have a right, at least financial literacy rights,
yes,
where you can have a right to own a bank account. I have been in a community to carry out an assessment. It was on a different environmental assessment altogether. But one thing just prompted in my heart to ask some fundamental questions based on how I saw them behave, how timid and, let me use the word timid, these women were. So I asked about 3 or 4 of them if they have bank accounts. I was shocked to hear that they don't even have. And I said, why? They said their husband has. I said, okay, if I want to give you money, so how do you receive it? They said they will give me their husband's account, bank account, for me to pay in the money. I said, this is serious. You can imagine how deep this discrimination are. You can imagine how deep ignorance has eaten our women. You can imagine how deep intimidation has gone in Nigeria. So now, if you begin to say that such type of women did not support their fellow women, you don't have to blame them, because they are not even aware of what their rights are. We're even talking about, body autonomy, rights to reproductive health, and what have you. There are still places in communities where you will go. They cannot say no when their husband says yes on the bed. And they can't say no, I have given birth enough. Doctor said I should rest. They dare not say that. Their life is built around their husband. So they don't even see themselves as human. They see themselves as less human. Let me just put it that way. It is not because...
Just before you continue, a thought came to mind. There's people that argue that there is a line between feminism and advocating for women's rights. What's your take on that?
You have reminded me something. Do you know that some persons will come to my DM on social media to come and abuse me and say, Doris, feminism is a sin.
I do not
Repent.
I do not get it myself.
They always say, feminism is a sin. Repent, God is angry at it. You see the level of ignorance, you know. Yes, feminism has connection with the promotion of women's rights. In fact, it is basically what it's meant for. Are you getting me? It is an ideology that if you believe in such ideology, you drive the process in terms of promoting women's rights, promoting gender equality, promoting, in fact, acknowledging achievements of women and standing where women are being appreciated.
All right, thank you very much. Now, just as we wind down, I'd also, I want you to keep it short because I would also want to hear from Comrade Annie. What are your expectations, moving forward in terms of women's rights? If there's one thing you'd hope for, the change and for us to harness more inclusiveness and representation of women, what would that be?
Aggressive campaign. We can change this process. We can change this. We can change things. We can rewrite this narrative.
All right, thank you.
Ourselves.
Thank you so much for your insights. We also have Comrade Annie. Comrade Annie, what's your own take? What's one thing that you hope to see more of moving forward from, you know, this 2026 IWD, you know, and just toward the end of the year and onward?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. Please ask it again, please. Sorry, I didn't get that question. Can you ask it again?
I was saying, now that it's we are commemorating the 2026 International Women's Day, what is your hope when it comes to the, you know, better representation of women, better treatment and inclusiveness? What's one thing that you hope to see more of moving forward?
I hope to see a better Nigeria with equal opportunities for women. I repeat it again, a better Nigeria with equal opportunities for women. That's what I hope to see going forward.
I thought I would let you go, but just to you know, push one more question to you. We were talking about the disparity between you know, feminism and advocating for women's rights. Shed more light on that.
Okay, you know, when it has to do with feminism, we'll have the first wave and second wave. But before we even got to the feminism, it is rooted in the Marxist theory.
Okay.
You know, where we'll have the bourgeois and the yes. So the laborers, which I just put them as the laborers. So the fight for the rights of these laborers, let me so to say, okay. Now,
or the working class,
the working class, yes, and the bourgeois, which are the capitalists.
Yeah.
So you know the way Marxist theory put it together, it was as if the society was on constant conflict, which it was not. And this issue of the workers' rights we are talking about, women are equally part of the workforce. So what is the position of women when we talk about this workforce? What is the position of women? If workers should talk, the workforce should push for equal pay, for better environment, work environment, good working hours and all that. Women also are left behind. So that gave birth to feminism, to also push for the rights that belongs to women as well. You remember that we never had any rights, including voting rights. To be honest with you, women never had globally before now. Equal pay, we were nowhere to be found. Voting rights, we were nowhere to be found. So all of these things, we need to get them done. We need to achieve it. So that gave birth, the agitation, this movement to achieving this equal rights with other counterparts, gave rise to the first and second wave of feminism. So we need to get this done. So as we proceed, as this movement gained momentum, you now see, today we are celebrating International Women's Day. I'm just rushing things. Today we are celebrating International Women's Day. Remember that this was what was fought for in the 20th century, early 1902 to 19...
the fact that we can celebrate International Women's Day is a product of the feminist movement.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of, you know, demonist theories around feminism. Why do you think so? Why do you think that a lot of people criticize feminism?
Ignorance. I have heard a commissioner, Women Affairs in a state, say that I don't believe in that bullshit. In the feminism,
pardon, your language.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't believe in that blah 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 feminism. I don't believe that's when women. I was so ashamed. I was looking for a table to hide myself.
That is given the opportunity to talk because of feminism, now coming out to say...
Yes. I was looking for a feeling like, let the ground open, let it swallow me. I was so ashamed at her level of ignorance.
But do you think there might be a reason why? Maybe modern day feminists take it too far, or you think there's no taking it too far with feminism?
When I still see those who call themselves feminism and the approach they use, their manners, the way they talk, how they have twisted what the movement is all about, the ideology, how they've twisted it to suit maybe their way of thinking. You know, some of them used to bring in their personal
vendetta with men,
past experiences
yes,
into the movement, which is not supposed to be. Some of them are very aggressive, very insultive. You know, they see men as their enemy. They don't even like to do things that a man has to be involved. You cannot even achieve feminism if men are not given a chance or a voice into what you are doing. So it is an inclusive process. What we are clamoring for, what we are agitating for is an inclusive approach, inclusiveness, equal representation. Are you getting me? Yeah. So it is not about you bringing your personal vendetta and pouring it to people, innocent people around you. It is not what feminism is all about. And feminism are not for those who are not able to marry a husband, or who is out of a marriage, or in fact, it's not about those who has personal problems.
I don't even think it's about
it's not about your
experiences.
It's not about your experience or lived experience. No, it's not about your lived experiences. That ideology is sacred.
But I would beg to differ that lived experiences can contribute to someone's push for you know, in the feminist movement.
See, lived experiences can be your motivating factor, but it is not what the ideology is all about. So you need to be able to separate your personal lived experience from what the ideology is all about. If your lived experience was as a result of this same stuff, are you getting me? You can channel that energy in terms of bringing women out of such problem, not allowing them to pass through what you've been through, and also correcting men around you to value and support their women, even their sisters at home. Encourage women, give women equal chance, tell them what they're supposed to hear, not by fighting them. Hello?
You're on course. We can hear you and see you.
Okay. All right. We are not in any competition with the men. We are not even trying to exclude them. We are just saying, give us the chance. Yes, there might be some misconception at some point, but that does not mean, in fact, even with the demonization, it's not even deterring us, because we know the goal. We know the progress we have made so far. And so we will keep pushing for it. Give us a place at the table. We want our rights as women. That's all. We're not trying to sit on the men. We're not trying to say we want to rule the men. We're not trying to be on top. We just want that equal representation, equality, like it's called. So that's what feminism is about. Yes, people misunderstand it, but that's okay. At some point, they will get to understand that we are not against the men. We just want to be partners in progress.
When we talk about female representation, female inclusiveness, and even female empowerment, what do you think you would, should I say, score the Edo State government when it comes to that, in empowering, you know, the woman and, you know, pushing her out there so that she has a level playing field with the men?
I will say the government of the day needs to do more. He made some promises which he is yet to keep. He made those promises during his campaign. He is yet to keep those promises. And some of us are waiting to put that into writing to him to remind him, Mr. Governor, sir, these promises were made and you need to keep them. Yes, he might be trying a bit, but he's not there yet with the promises he made. So he can do better. That's all I'll say. And he should do better.
Do you share this perspective, Doris?
Honestly, I don't even understand the bearing of this present government in terms of women inclusion and empowerment. At least, if you want to get something achieved, you have to have a template of that. So I don't even know what the template is all about. I can't even feel anything of that nature. So I cannot say, there is no statistics yet. I've not seen or anywhere online, whether hard copy or soft copy, where I can lay my hands on to say that this is a template that the present government is implementing in terms of women empowerment and inclusion in governance. So I cannot say what I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
Even there are so many other things I have read that I have also tried to find out the honest truth about it, and it's still like a mirage to me. So I think they have to turn around to consider this aspect, to bring in experts that can help. Maybe they might be doing, but because maybe it is not really
publicized, so is that the word?
It's not really like something that is marketable. Let me just put it that way. We do not have, I have not seen, I cannot say we do not have, to the best of my knowledge, I have not seen a template to say that this is what is being used to achieve maybe long-term, short-term plans, stuff like that, that this is where we are going to and this is where we are. So I cannot say for that. But I can tell you generally in the state that we need to do more in terms of promoting women's rights. And there are so many ways at which these rights can be promoted. By, we know we have so many rights that even women can as well enjoy, as provided by the Nigerian Constitution in Chapter 4. Right to education, right to health, right to belong to association of your choice, right to own a property, and stuff like that. So I will say, in the aspect of gender parity, we need to do more by doing away with those cultural harmful practices that we have for so long tied ourselves to, that have at the end of the day limited women or have caused a lot of barrier for women in terms of accessing quality education, in terms of having that right to bodily autonomy, in terms of having access or equal access to resources. Resources here, I mean, is that, okay, I want to contest. You remember that even at the political party level, parties also have to consider onboarding women.
Yes.
To make sure that, yes, this democracy seeks to the grassroots. They should not see giving women, party woman leader as a compliment or as a fulfillment that they are carrying women along.
All right,
no, we want to see a female party chairman, state chairman, a female party state secretary, stuff like that, and to field candidates
for your insights, for joining the program this morning on ITV, and also to our guests that joined via Zoom, Comrade Annie Umoru, and you right here in the studio, Comrade Doris Ogbeidi. Thank you so much for your takes on the conversation that was brought forward. On the 2026 International Women's Day, I celebrate every woman out there that's giving, and hopefully with time we can gain the representation, the inclusiveness, and everything that we deserve. And here's where we draw the curtain on the discussion segments right here in our Benin Network Center. I'll now hand you over to our anchor in Abuja, Joseph Kadri. It's over to you.
All right, a beautiful discussion you had there. Now in Abuja Network Center, we are towing the same line, still looking at the International Women's Day. And of course, we have one of our own. We'll not call her a feminist, but is one who believes that she can compete favorably with the male folk and grab what the male folk are grabbing. I'm talking about the NUJ chairman, Comrade Grace Ike. Very good morning, Grace.
Good morning to you. Good. Yes, sir.
Well, I can barely hear you.
Good morning, Joseph. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, beautiful. I can hear you clearly now. And I'll say to you, happy International Women's Day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, so there are so many issues to discuss. You know, most time women will say they are at the receiving end when it comes to education, when it comes to health, when it comes to economic, empowerment, when it comes to even sexual and gender-based violence. But let me start with the last one. Sexual and gender-based violence. Where are we in 2026 when it comes to the issue of disparity between the male and the female folks?
Okay, so we are doing some, as we speak today, we are championing zero good tolerance for sexual harassment women. It's not just women, rally, not accept, but for the women, we are particularly from the edge and in collaboration now watch, we are together to say no to based violence in the FCT and Nigeria as a whole. So advocacy, we've been doing a whole lot of advocacy regarding that aspect, and so far so good. Knowing full well that the law will take full course. If you are found wanting, perpetrators must pay the law. And of course, you know, with the internet technology, anybody who's caught in this evil and disturbing trend must be dragged. So for the NUJ, it's not been easy for us, particularly journalists, you know, in the field. We've experienced a whole lot of harassment, intimidation, but the council has came out open to disclose and to create that awareness. Union has zero tolerance and intimidation FCT.
When the statistics, it's not really to the women. From what we have, 77% of, trafficking victims are
to harassment, we say no to human trafficking, but then we also need the support and the support and aid of stakeholders, just like you are doing, throwing more light like this in ITV, which you've been doing so much. We want other newsrooms to take steps like this also to create more awareness. Let's have the dangers of trafficking, of matters that are not really conducive. That enabling environment must be there, and create more awareness on issues that do not in any way support women's development in Nigeria and FCT in particular.
Okay, comrade, you are a super chairman when it comes to NUJ in the 36th state of the Federation and the FCT, and of course you are in the FCT where, of course, our president is. And you know that the body for tackling, trafficking and other issues concerning women and ill treatment for them is in Abuja. I mean, talking about NAPTIP. How far have you gone in engaging with NAPTIP? I mean, NUJ and NAPTIP, ensuring that these issues are exposed, awareness is created, those that are involved are arrested and prosecuted?
Honestly, if I tell you the truth, I'm not really okay. NAPTIP isn't doing enough from my own angle. It isn't doing enough in terms of issues like this. This is not the NAPTIP I grew up to know. So there's more reorientation. Probably there's need for NAPTIP to also work with the NOA.
It's true. NAPTIP need to do more in terms of engaging development partners. NUJ is one of them. NOA may not be, but they're all in the payroll of the government. There's a need to create awareness, sensitize the people, those involved, get them arrested. Let us see how they are prosecuted. These issues are on the increase. It has never stopped. There are so many people that are making some kind of illegal living from it. I'm always in the court. I've seen those that were prosecuted. I mean, their cases even were transported all the way from Europe back to Nigeria, and the police got hold of it and they were prosecuted. So we hope to see that NAPTIP work with relevant stakeholders. Of course, NUJ is one of them. Do that so that those involved can easily be named and shamed. And of course, I don't know, the network is not too friendly this morning. Otherwise, we have so much to talk about. You know, the health and education disparity is there, where, of course, in education, about 7.6 million out-of-school girls are domiciled in the north. And why would you have such amount of, girls not in school? 7.6 million. All right, it's good that you are back, Comrade Grace, the chairman of NUJ FCT. I was actually talking about the fact that there are disparities in education, disparities in health. In education, so many girls are out of school. Well, that not. In health, of course, when you talk about the reproductive health, women who are supposed to assess the reproductivity, they have challenges in getting those commodities. But it's not the same for the male folk. And the women are the ones that carry the children. They carry these children, some of them every year. They go to the labor room every year. And that definitely is not good for their health. So let's quickly look at the education aspect before we now move to the health aspect, what things we can do to ensure that the huge number of out-of-school girls, yes, girls, in the nuclearly are actually handled.
Okay, so currently, just like the number of figure you just gave is quite alarming. and not really nice at all, looking at Nigeria's race or speed to be a part of the international community. And what do we do to make sure that these girls, I mean, these women are attracted? They see education as, attract and something they must do, because you give to gain, just like the slogan for this year's International Women's Day. You empower community, you are empowering family, society, as well as a nation. There's more that needs to be done. There's more awareness should be done. Government is, but that more need to be. There's more room for improvement, and a whole lot of stakeholders are even taking this up themselves, doing scholarship for children in school. Most of the funds to school, and we should also see how we can education free, across board from part of the country. Let's have state ensure that education is free. You do not see school fees as a challenge or an excuse to say you're not in school. So when we start from there, we can actually start addressing some of these issues and challenges. And it's no longer, I don't have money, my parents are taking education is now free. So we can actually find the root causes of some of this stuff. Some is cultural belief. So that's more the reason why we need a whole lot of institutions on board, traditional institutions, stakeholders, mothers who would need to talk to their children, the need, the advantage of going to school. Most of the elites, their child, they oversee schooling. So why would they want you to stay behind, to be at their mercy, to want to eat from their crumbs, from the table of what left over of what they have? So there's this reorientation we need to do. National NOA needs to step up their game in terms of education, creating more awareness in different dialects, in languages that most of these children understand better than you and I. The money implemented, it should be executed and distributed as when due, and not just a pinch of it out. You see, most of we are focusing on education, we are focusing on health, but after that, how much was released? That is another angle. That's that story entirely. How much was released for the education sector as well as the health sector, just like we have billions, trillions going into security. So education and health must be a pivotal area we must focus on and show much concern. But then you and I will continue to do our job when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to the right of the less privileged, speaking for them and the need for them to go to school. Most of them have been talked into, there's no need for you to go to school. Just grow up and you get married and you start bearing children. So we also need to talk them into knowing the advantages and disadvantages of staying out of school, of going to school. So there's a whole lot to be done. Traditional rulers must also be brought into this picture. Stakeholders like you and I, civil society organization, those at the rural areas must also see the need for them to go into aggressive advocacy, to go into a whole lot of awareness. There's need for and for the federal government, what is they have pledged, and it's important that most people see during elections come out with a whole lot of promises. Their blueprint is like as long as you can think, but after the election, what happens next? Another election year cycle is here in 2027. Yes, education will come up. That is what we will do. Health will come up. That is exactly what we provide. But then, how much have these, promises got into the grassroots to those who really need it, and reduce and cut the issue of out-of-school children in the rural areas? That's another area that needs.
An area I'd like you to talk about because it really affects, of course, your gender. And that has to do with the slow pace the snail pace by federal government in terms of releasing resources for family planning commodities. You know, family planning commodity, be it IUCD, injectables, and even the condoms. You know, female has also got theirs. In the city center, it's not a challenge because of, you know, they have resources to take care of this. But like you mentioned, in the grassroots, in the communities where having 1,000 naira is a challenge, you know, it's difficult for them to now come to the city to, you know, want to access these family planning commodities for free. So why is it difficult for government to release what has been budgeted for family planning commodities? Because if you don't have it, we're going to have baby boom in the rural areas. And most time, when the kids are so much, they are pushed to the city to pick up some kind of menial jobs. So why haven't we seen you, some other female women, in why 4 million are not released? All right, we're expecting you. If you hear me clearly, I was talking about the 4 million. Yeah, I was talking about the $4 million, you know, appropriated for family planning commodities. It's a basket fund with the UNFPA. The amount, if released, will reduce, you know, baby boom, because women in the grassroots will be able to access the various methods, IUCD, injectables, and even the female condom. But up till now, that's a challenge. That money is not released. And if you are not careful, by this time next year, there will be baby boom in the country. So why don't we have, you know, topmost female CSOs? You are one of them. You can lead the NUJ and get some other female to hold government to release this money.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy that you said I'm one of them, just like you are. That's where another issue comes. Most times, monies are budgeted and not released, and you keep asking yourself, so what's the essence of budgeting such monies, such a huge amount of money? And they bring up issues very cogent, very reasonable reason why they are, you know, asking for such amount of money, because they know that lawmakers will definitely approve that, but in the end, nothing to show for it. So you and I will continue to advocate. In fact, I would love to, you know, see how we can take up this matter so that we can continue to unravel and ensure that matters like this are not swept under the carpet. If there are areas we really need to tell our story, that's the essence of our pen. That's the essence of having you and I as a TV reporter, presenter, and as an editor to make stories like these, exposed, and those who are at the helms of affairs and not really dishing out monies that are meant for a particular reason should be also exposed. So it's quite worrisome. It's quite alarming. It's a trend. Most times they tell you if you can't beat them, you join them. But I believe that when we decide to execute, implement, and ensure that the grassroots level are carried along, the country will be a better place for all of us. And most times it's quite worrisome that we are quick to want to travel overseas for health check. We are quick to want to, you know, move over there to boost their economy with monies that are meant to be here in the country to boost our own economy. So that's also another area when it comes to health travel. You know, when we have ban on that, I think a whole lot of personalities, individuals who really have a lot to play in Nigeria will definitely focus on building a health care system in the country. So monies like that, not executed, not implemented, is quite worrisome. And this individual should be called to give account. The National Assembly must also sit up, must continue to scrutinize and carry out their duties effectively. Those whose committee are responsible for matters like this must be seen doing their job effectively and efficiently, and not just mere committee oversight. Most times this oversight, you keep asking, what is the outcome of your oversight? And most times they are all swept under the carpet. So parliamentary reporters continue to push and write and expose, health institutions.
Thank you so much, Comrade Grace Ike. Yeah, I must thank you for your time with us on the program this morning. Thank you so much. You're one of those who really believe that you can compete favorably with the male folk and get what you aspire, to get in life. So thank you so much for your time with us. Now we'll move to Lagos Networks Center for continuation of the program.
It's a beautiful Monday morning. Hello and welcome to TMI this beautiful morning on ITVI. I'm Marcelina Unkwa. And our guest today that will be helping us analyze into this topic is Honorable Said Ajadi, Akhoed Chieftain. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming.
The pleasure is always mine. Thank you.
All right, today we're going to be talking about the Electoral Act controversy ahead of 2027 election. 2027 in focus. A growing debate is unfolding around provision in the new Electoral Act, especially rules like voter accreditation to the National Identification Number, NIN, and other requirements also. Critics says that these rules could help voters or complicate participation in the 2027 election, while supporters argue that this will improve transparency and reduce fraud. A lot of persons, different people with their different opinion. There's also a political pushback from opposition's figures. Some have threatened court challenges to part of the act. So why is this trending actually? Is that the possible legal battle before the 2027 election? We're looking at the 2027 election, and also concerns about voter access and electoral credibility. Honorable Said Ajadi, I want us to talk about this. Let's start with the big picture. Why has the Electoral Act become such a major topic of debate ahead of the 2027 election?
Good morning once more. Thank you for having me. The reality for Nigeria is that the 2023 election was a case study. And, we used a different process of electioneering. And there were a lot of complaints, however, at that time. So the Senate felt it was a good thing to check what the people were saying, which is a very good thing, that people are complaining and they wanted to see the pulse of the people and see where they can help to actualize some of those questions and improve on the electioneering process. Fantastic. However, no matter how much you put into the effort, it's not everybody that's going to be satisfied with it.
Oh, okay.
There would always be complaints. There would all be pros and cons. However, is it a good thing for Nigeria? I believe yes.
You think so?
Yes. Why? Give an instance. Initially, they said it was only going to be transmission. People complained, and they put in manual. There's some places in Nigeria that you don't have internet access. There's some places in Nigeria that you don't have the base stations for the GSM companies. So how do you expect 100% transmission? It's not going to work. However, if people are willing to be patriotic Nigerians, go and vote, count your vote at the voting center. Each polling unit should count their votes manually and record the winners and the losers manually first. If the BVAS machines are working, they transmit. If they're not working, are you going to nullify those votes? No, you are going to take it to the collation center manually. So there are places, for instance, the places that they are fighting, the Boko Haram and ISWAPs and all of that, there is no base station because they've destroyed it. And some of us know these places, like Ondo State, like Borno State and some of those places. They must vote. They are also part of Nigerians. So manual and transmission is fantastic. NIN that you are mentioning, NIN is part of the verification process of Nigerians. So if they're adding it to it, because everybody must get an NIN now with banking structure and all of that. So if they're adding it to it, it means that whoever is Mr. A, Sahid, cannot be Mr. B because he has an evidence to show that he is the person, if you see what I mean. So it's okay. But if there's no NIN, it's still fantastic to prove that you are the person.
You know, a few weeks back, the Senate's president came out to announce the new electoral law, saying that, okay, if electronic transmission of results fails, you know, manual will be an alternative.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, that's what you just said. And a lot of persons were not in support of it. And we also saw that a few weeks back, some persons came out in Abuja, you know, to protest. That they feel, I believe the reason why these people came out to protest then, they feel that, you know, before, if we are doing manual, before those results are uploaded, it's going to be manipulated.
That's what I said to you. That's why I used the word inside of what I was saying in my statement. I said patriotism. There has to be patriotism in everything we are doing. Unfortunately, Nigerians are no more patriotic. All we are interested in is self and how to go around and manipulate the system. There's nothing wrong with voters casting their vote, counting the vote at the polling unit. So if, for instance, at polling A, they said there are 18, 16, and 13. So the 18 person that got 18 is the highest votes that he got. And we have registered it. The agents of the parties have registered it. How can they change it in the collation center? That's fraud. And it's going to be obvious and it's going to be noticed. So if there is no internet, for instance, if there is no Beavers machine, are you saying that Nigeria will not move forward? We have to move forward. There are so many European countries and even some Americans, they don't use these things. They still do manual because they believe in their self. Okay, what about the people that vote two weeks before election and they send it into a mail to the collation center? And the mail is received in the collation center and counted. That's America. Some people vote for their own and send it through the mail. Okay, what if some people go and hack those mailboxes and change it? How do they know that? So everybody must have a system, and there has to be patriotism. If we say this is how we want to go about how we want to develop, let us support ourselves to develop. I don't believe in halfway things. And I believe that if we love each other, it shouldn't be an issue. Why are you protesting over that? Why are you protesting that they should add manual? The manual is a functional part, an integral part of voting. You have voted manually. You have casted your ballot manually. So what is wrong in counting it manually, irrespective of the age of technology? So even if the Beavers is working, they are still going to count those votes manually to show that so-so A won or so-so B lost. That's how it's done, even if the Beavers is functional. So why are you now saying that the manual part they integrated for everybody to see? Because there are some places that GSM is not working, like I said, and there is no internet, and they're part of Nigeria. Are you telling me they're not going to vote?
So let's talk about voters' apathy.
Exactly. That's another thing. You see, I have noticed, that's why I said patriotism. Last election, a lot of people didn't come, and some people were playing football on the main road rather than go and vote, and they were adults.
I mean, these people are scared. They are thinking,
there's nothing to be scared of.
Honorable Sari, they're thinking if we should come out to vote, will our votes count?
Did it not count last election? Did it not count last election? APC lost Lagos State, for instance. And they are calling the election unreal, rigged, and all of that. Whereas the stronghold of APC was lost. And we saw it. Everybody saw it. That's a credible thing. It means that the election, the voters, they counted the votes. How would you have thought in a lifetime that APC will lose Lagos? Most of the Northwest
ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
Because of the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz it has not been closed yet, but they are afraid of the vessels being bombed. Those vessels now are staying away. There's no other route.
And whatsoever is happening is also affecting Nigeria.
It has to affect us because we are in the hands of a monopoly. Dangote is a monopoly, and that's where he holds sway. If, for instance, BUA comes on stream now, and NNPC gets their act together and stop stealing 210 trillion or all of that, and stop stealing, and they can at least get 5 modular refineries working. It takes 6 months to get that done. So if we can get a refinery in Imo, the Imo River, we can get a refinery in One, and we can get a refinery in Badagry, okay? And we can get a refinery up north again. Dangote will not increase price the way it's increasing price. Price will crash. So now we are in the hands of Dangote because he's the only one acting. There is no NNPC and all of that. So there's a lot of problems coming. A lot. So it is not the Electoral Act that is the issue now. They have done their part. We should do our part. Let us be patriotic. Go and vote. You cannot complain after the elections have taken place that you don't like one government, which you do not vote for. You're sitting there in your home, you're complaining. That's rubbish. Go and vote. As a Nigerian, is your first responsibility, civic responsibility. Go and vote. Cast your vote, and it will count.
So you're saying we as Nigerians, we need to be patriotic.
We need to be patriotic.
Go out and vote.
It's not patriotism. Complain. You see, even in a family, husband and wife, after a while, are you not going to be tired? Complaining every day. You will look at the solution to all problems and solve. There are always problems everywhere in the world. But solve it. Get it done. That's why you're here. When you are dead, you are dead. But when you are still here, solve the problem. There's no depression or anything like that. Now that the prices are going up, what are we going to do? You have to think, introspect. It's best for me now to go to the farm. Whatever farm I have, go and plant ahead of what is coming. That's the truth. If you don't have a farm, in your compound, even if it's face me, I face you, there's a wall behind your house. Put 5 bags there or 10 bags. Put 2 bars of yam, cut it up, 1 2 bar, cut it into 10, put it there. In 3 to 4 or 5 months, you are going to have yam to feed yourself. So you don't need to go and buy 1 2 bar of yam, 8,000 in Lagos. You don't need that. Whereas in some places, like Ibadan, 1 hour away from here, I keep saying it, 2 bars, 3,000. So what is the difference between Lagos and Ibadan? Less than 1 hour, 45 minutes. But the people that are in between, the traders, they are the people that are killing Nigerians. And so until we learn to interject and check, they call me an alaroro. Why? Because I haggle prices. And I try to know what exactly is going on in the market. So I don't care if you call me anything. I'm only interested in making Nigeria better. And if there's a problem, we announce it. We speak about it. Or if we cannot speak about it, we make a change. That's it.
Okay, let's talk about the Independent National Electoral Commission, the INEC. So do you think Nigerians' electoral body, I mean the INEC, has a capacity to fully implement this reform?
Of course I believe so. I believe so. That's why I came in to tell you that patriotism is key to everything success. If you don't love your country, why don't you carry your load and leave this place?
Leave to where?
Hey, that's the point. So that is why you must be thoughtful and deep thinking. You have to realize that no country can take us. We are too much. Lagos alone, if there's crisis in Lagos, Benin Republic is just less than 10 million people. Ghana is 30 million. Togo is less than that. Who's going to take us? So we have to think. For me, look at this issue now. If, for instance, I was an aide to the president, I will advise him, sir, go and build a refinery in Badagry or cross the border and build it in Benin Republic. But we own it and supply crude. The whole West Coast will crash prices. There are too many things that we need to do. We are far ahead if we can think for Nigeria. This I just told you now. If one is implemented, just that, Dangote will be looking for us now. Okay, why is Dangote saying he wants to increase from 650, which is done now, to 1.4 million? Because the numbers are crazy. Nigeria is you don't know the kind of income that can be made. If you're a patriotic city and you are ready to work, I will mention an industrialist, Rasak Okoya. Look at the leverage that he has now. If you look at the value system, Rasak Okoya is moving towards $1 billion in assets. Why? Because he's producing numbers every day. So if you are an industrialist, you cannot quantify the income that you can make. That is why Dangote is doing the shakara. But if other industrialists are supported to come up, things will change. It's called competition, demand and supply. We have demand for everything. And in the West Coast, there is a lot of demand for Nigerian goods. Go to Benin Republic and see the way they treat us as Nigerians. They know that the kings, they have come. Anywhere you see Nigeria in the West Coast, they say, Nigeria. They respect us because they know the kings have come. But are we respecting ourselves? No. That's why Dangote is taking us for the peace. Because is he not buying crude oil in Naira? He's still buying crude oil in Naira. Even if it's not as much as he wants, because he has increased his capacity. However, every flick of the price, he changes his price. Every flick of the price, internationally, he changes his price. Are we not in trouble? You don't put your eggs into one basket, you spread it. We have put our eggs into one basket now, mainly Kyari and all these thieves. They are just going home and enjoying themselves. They should be put on a hot seat and bring back all the money that was stolen. Who is responsible for the refineries, the turnaround? Nobody. Those monies, where did they go? All the money they have been collecting for the crude oils for the past 10 to 20 years, starting from Obasanjo's regime, they said the refineries were not working, yet they were budgeting crude oil every day. They take it away, refine it, and come and sell it to us at an expensive price. It's not done anywhere in the world.
Okay, Honorable Said, let's talk about vote buying. Let's talk about vote buying. I mean, some Nigerians believe the real issues are vote buying and political violence rather than technology. Is the act addressing the real problem? I mean, this act, is it addressing the real problem? Do you think vote buying is the real problem?
It's not the real problem for me. If I come and give you an incentive to vote for me, and you have collected that incentive, it's your choice to either vote or not to vote.
Okay.
So since it's going to be a private business between me and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the person that gave me the money cannot see what I've done because the thing is covered. Okay, it's private. So even if you give me money, I can still do what my conscience says I should do. So vote buying is not an issue. It is the ignorance of Nigerians. As far as I'm concerned, you should talk about. Because Nigerians, I'm a politician. I have seen it happen severally. Nigerians, some of them, especially the people that vote, are local people. The elites don't come out. They are sleeping on the vote. You can go. You are a journalist. Go and research. They don't come out to vote. Very few elites will come and vote. But they will be the ones who shout the most because it's not favoring them. So they are not patriotic. All they want is to manipulate the election to suit their candidate. But the people that vote are the Yala robots, the local marketers, the local women, especially women. Go every day and go and check the voting. It's especially women that come out. The boys are playing football. The youth are not even interested at all. Whereas it's their future that is being toyed with. I've been in politics since when? Since 32 years of age. My friends were thinking I was crazy then. But I said to them, if we don't join this thing now, how do we secure our future? This is what is happening now. We're in our 50s going to 60. We have not even started the job. How do you hand over to the children? That is why Mo Ibrahim was seated in an interview session. And Mo Ibrahim was telling us that we're electing 90-year-olds to go back to office. Some of them are urinating on themselves. Some of them are pooing on themselves. Some of them cannot even climb the stairs. And they are presidents in their countries. There are a lot of problems. So we need to interject now to save the people coming. And they don't even know there's a problem by themselves. Because they're not interested in the future. They're not interested in Nigeria. So we need to integrate the youth because they're 74% of the population. They have to come back in their thoughtfulness to understand that, look, if we leave, you are the ones to be responsible for your children. What are you doing about it? A lot of work.
So you think vote buying is not a problem?
Vote buying is... see, patriotism is the problem. If you are patriotic and they bring money, even if they give you 10,000, it's not going to last you till the next day. 10,000 naira. How much is the vote that you are buying? The highest they can give you as a voter is 10,000 naira. Some people give 500, some give 1,000, some give 5,000, some give 2,000, depending on the level of the contestants. The reality is that, does it last for a day? Yet, they sell 4 years of their life. So that's what I'm saying. That's precisely why I said to you earlier, that there is a problem with our thought process. If we know what we are doing, how can I sell my vote for 10,000 naira for 4 years? I don't need to complain anymore because I've sold. Myself as an example.
Okay.
Thank you. I was in PDP. Before I moved out of PDP. I left PDP in 2010. I contested Senate in 2006, 2007. In 2003, they told me I was too young. So I became 32 years of age, then I contested in 2006. Against Adedubu's son. If you have a very fresh memory and you know Adedubu in the people, when the local government stadium follows, they said that they're coming. I told them, you must have coming, the delegate. And then the one, giving them and 5 on the Friday before the election in his house. Some of them had the ball hand stamped. They showed me, just laughed. So I called the fellows outside, told them to come outside. I was like, I've never done an appointment in a to come. Military called me the minute he started ground. Me that the fellow gives my salary, me a new. I said, I'm not coming by the Senate. He started. You know, I told what now is to make me president. I've done that. That means he said, what can we do? So I said, okay, let us give everybody an incentive. Let them know that we are here. Eventually, we pushed the policemen to allow our people to come in. We got in. Every local government came in. They called that Adedubu in Molete. That the left-handed man has done contrary to what the plan is. Oh, you have to come here now. He came with 4 coasters filled with guns and cutlass. And I was seated next to his son. His older brother, Professor Abbas, came wearing the shirt of his younger brother and told his younger brother, look, I know this man in Abuja, and I know how sound he is. I am not going to vote for you, but for him here. You just came. He was not screened. Quote me. He was not screened. He was still in London on Friday. He came in Saturday morning. I was screened with Seyi Makinde and Teslim Folani, the incumbent governor. You can go and ask them. In LA, in Ibadan. He was not screened. So I was very angry. Because the money that I was spending was hard-earned money. I've never done any politics. I was the only candidate that contested that. Because there was no election. And then we went to sit down where the ballots were. And now let me see who's going to vote. So if that was happening, the deputy governor came to meet me when I was sitting down. Said, those boys are here for you. I said, I know. But I will not allow any of you to shed my blood. You have guns. I don't have guns, but I have God. You, as a deputy governor, you are not going to be used as a color again. They are not going to use you as deputy governor. But I will leave this place for you guys. And I left. I went to contest. And Abuja came to Ibadan because of me. Where we were doing the complaint, those boys came again. I told Abuja to excuse me, and I went to tell them outside, I'm here, and I'm coming down to meet you guys. But you're not going to do. I'm prepared for all this. So guns and cutlass is not a big deal. What if your gun is faced at you and is cocked and is going to hit the person back? It won't work. Because my life does not depend on that gun. My life depends on Almighty. And Almighty that can take me.
Okay. Honorable Said, what you're saying now is the youth, people should...
Let us rise and be part of the process. Yes, I was a youth, and I'm still a youth. But age is not on my side anymore. So I look at people at them. Your future is in your hands. Take it, not fight. Intellectual revolution, that's what it's called. You act like a fool. When you get the leadership, then you do the right thing, period.
Right, Honorable Sai, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure is mine
always.
Thank
you for helping us analyze this.
Thank you, too.
Thank you, Nigerians. Thank you, Lagos. Thank you, all our viewers, for joining our Lagos Network studio this beautiful morning on ITV. We'll be handing over to Benin, our Benin Network studio, for the content here. Just
ITV, certainly the best.
Good morning and welcome to ITV News Updates. I am Chukufumnanya Digwe. Now, over 10 persons have been hospitalized following shooting by gunmen dressed in vigilante uniform who attacked natives of Ogbeson community in Ovia Northeast local government area, Edo State, on Saturday evening, leaving the community deserted. Jonah Omorua, who visited the area, reports that several cars were not spared by the gunmen.
It was a Black Saturday in Ogbeson community as the natives came under attack by gunmen in a Sienna vehicle who shot indiscriminately, with many sustaining injuries while others scrambled for safety in a nearby bush. According to some eyewitnesses who were part of the celebration during the inauguration of the Ogwedion, the gunmen who came in a Sienna bus dressed in vigilante uniform opened fire on the people, shooting directly at the crowd. They said Ogbeson community is in danger and are calling on the police and the state governor to investigate the identity of those behind the dastardly attack for prosecution.
I saw some neighboring community, which is Egoshodi and their youth, and some people who were dressing on police, not really police, this security network uniform. The next thing I could see was AK-47 and pump action. It was firing everywhere.
The unwanted destructions that was made in this community, and it's unacceptable. We want the law to take its course.
We see Besson, they invite us to come down, come and eat. Automatic, we see the Goshi people. They came with the arms. Come and storm our guy, they shoot them. We escape.
4-5 minutes before I know go on, don't come. My brother, they shoot on for leg here. People collect bullets, that's all. People faint.
We just through there to follow the celebrate. So suddenly we saw guns. They started shooting bullets.
The cars destroyed at the Ogwedion were still visible when the news crew visited the scene, and those who sustained gunshot injury have been taken to the hospital. However, the incident has been reported at the Ogeda police station as an
counting losses following a devastating fire that destroyed the building. Jonah Omorua reports that the combined efforts of residents, traders, and the state fire service prevented the fire from spreading to other shops and buildings in the area.
It was a Black Sunday for the landlord and the baking shop owner of house number 13, First Ibiwe Street, near the King Square, Benin City, following the fire that destroyed parts of the building and baking materials millions of naira worth. It took combined efforts of residents in the area, traders, and the Edo State Fire Service to curtail the inferno from affecting other shops and nearby houses. The landlord, Usayende Uswanlele, and his brother, Usagi Uswanlele, said nothing could be salvaged from the shop.
My co-landlord, they raised alarm that there's fire on the upstairs. That was how we ran. We met fire burning already, so we had to call the fire service. Thank God they responded in time, because I've come to pray for them. God will always bless them. What they did today, I never expected it.
It's my father's house. We were sitting down there when someone just came from the opposite, said there is fire upstairs. So we now have to stood up to see, and there was smoke coming from the upstairs. Really, that's when we started running.
The acting chairman, Oedo Local Government Area Engineer Gabriel Dusei, commended the Edo State Fire Service for the swift efforts at curtailing the spread of the fire.
I was told this morning when they called me that there's fire in Ibiwe. Immediately we called the fire service, and at the same time, for the next 10 minutes, the fire service moved into action and they were there to salvage the situation.
As of the time of this report, officials of the Edo State Fire Service were still at the scene of the inferno doing last-minute checks to ensure that the inferno is completely extinguished. From Benin, Jonah Omowa, ITV News.
In another report, property and household items, millions of naira worth, have been destroyed by fire as a one-story building containing 4 flats was engulfed by flames at the palace of the Emir of Jema, Muhammad Isa Muhammad, in Jema local government area of Kaduna State. According to investigations, the fire reportedly started from the kitchen attached to the apartment of the Emir's aged mother. Correspondent Ma Muhammad reports.
The inferno was said to have started around 8 p.m. while the Emir's mother had already gone downstairs for the Adhan prayer, thereby attracting the attention of good Samaritans from neighboring communities. The fire, however, overwhelmed hundreds of sympathizers who attempted to put it out. This was despite the late arrival of the fire service officers, who came with small firefighting vehicles with a water tank capacity of about 1,200 liters. This development angered some youths, leading to the smashing of the fire truck's windscreen, while some fire officers escaped with varying degrees of injuries. Some respondents speak on the incident.
Nigerians, that when a thing like this is happening, one, there should be fire extinguisher in like a palace of this time. Had it been there was fire extinguisher, this thing would not have been like this. In fact, our fire service are not functioning.
People of goodwill are supposed to come close and support in one way or the other for the repairs of the damage.
Speaking on the incident, the fire officer in charge of the Kafanchan Zonal Office lamented that the station has only one functional firefighting vehicle with a capacity of about 1,200 liters. He said such firefighting vans are only effective for quick response and not suitable for tackling large-scale fire outbreaks. He however called on Kaduna State government to provide a higher capacity firefighting vehicle to help safeguard against fire outbreak in the zone. One of the palace chiefs said the cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained, describing the incident as unfortunate.
Specifically, we cannot actually say that this is exactly what happened.
The palace has continued to receive sympathizers, including traditional rulers, politicians, clerics, among others. From Kaduna, Umar Mohammed, ITV News.
In a religious report, the spiritual leader and general overseer of Christ Chosen Church of God International, Senior Apostle David Unwefi, has called on Christians across the world to engage in fervent prayers for peace in their nations and the global community. Speaking during a church service at the Jedo branch of the church in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, the cleric stressed the urgent need for divine intervention at a time when tensions and conflicts continue to rise among world powers. Jolade Ojo reports.
There was excitement in church. Senior Apostle David noted that history has shown that when powerful nations are in conflict, smaller nations and innocent people often bear the consequences. Quoting from the Bible, he emphasized that humility and sincere prayers by believers are essential for restoring peace, adding that no individual or human institution alone can solve the challenges confronting the world today. According to him, lasting peace can only come from God, and it is the responsibilities of Christians everywhere to pray not only for their countries, but also for peace in their homes and communities. Senior Apostle David concluded by encouraging Christians to remain steadfast in faith and to continually seek God's intervention for the peace and stability of the world.
If my people that are saved by grace, my children whom I have saved by grace, told us can be to love themselves, obey me, remain settled, and don't jump out one by one. If my people that are called by my name shall do what?
Shall humble themselves.
Shall humble themselves. Now that this house has been dedicated to the glory of our God, God demands from us total humility.
From Benin, Jolade Ojo, ITV News.
Now, a 77-year-old man, Mr. Jumbo Ogunwusi, has appealed to the Attorney General of Edo State and the Edo State government to ensure justice for his son, Edwin Ogunwusi, who allegedly died under controversial circumstances on March 10, 2023. Mr. Ogunwusi made the appeal at the corporate headquarters of Independent Television and Radio, Airport Road, Benin City. Jolade Ojo has more.
March 10, 2023 remains a painful memory for Mr. Jumbo Ogunwusi following the death of his 43-year-old son, Edwin Ogunwusi, who was the family's sole breadwinner and father of 5 children. According to Mr. Ogunwusi, his late son had an ongoing dispute with a man over the removal of roofing sheets from a house he built in Ubiaza community. He alleged that his son's decision to pursue the matter legally and report to the appropriate authorities angered the man who hired thugs to assault him, which eventually led to Edwin's death.
My son, I can't explain to me. I say, go and report the matter to the AIG, to the police. Report the matter to the AIG. So the AIG follow You want to follow, you want to look the scene. In presence of police, now they kill my son.
Mr. Ogenwese further stated that 7 suspects were initially arrested in connection with the incident in 2023. However, 3 of the suspects, including the principal suspect, were later released. Mr. Ogenwese, who explained the reasons for his renewed appeal, also alleged that he is currently receiving threats from the primary suspect.
This month, we go court. So their lawyer said that the undo we carry all these toys, they release it. Then make a court release the remaining 4 people. I want to beg the government and beg new Attorney General to look into it, this matter. I want justice.
Mr. Ogenwese is therefore calling on the Edo State government to intervene and ensure justice is served. From Benin, Jola Diojo, ITV News.
And with that report, we've come to the end of ITV News Updates. I am Chukufum Nanya Diwe. Thank you for watching. Good morning.
ITV, certainly the best.
Certainly the best.
Welcome to TMI Socials. I am Chukufumnanya Digwe. Now, yesterday, March 8th, the world celebrated International Women's Day, a day dedicated to recognizing the strength, resilience, and achievements of women across the globe. And here on TMI Socials, we are proud to continue the celebration today by honoring women everywhere. Mothers, daughters, leaders, professionals, and the countless everyday heroes who contribute so much to our families, communities, and society. The theme for International Women's Day 2026 is Give to Gain. This powerful message reminds us that when we give support, opportunities, respect, and encouragement to women and girls, society as a whole gains progress and prosperity. When women thrive, families grow stronger, communities become more resilient, and nations move forward. Give to Gain calls on all of us, men and women alike, to play a role in advancing gender equality, to encourage us to give knowledge, give mentorship, give visibility, give resources, and give respect to women so that everywhere can reach their full potential. Because empowering women is not just about fairness, it's about building a better world for everyone. Now, today on TMI Socials, we celebrate the incredible contributions of women in every sphere of life, from business and leadership to education, healthcare, arts, and community service. We also recognize the countless women whose quiet strength and dedication continue to inspire change every day. Now, one video that has made it to the top of trends on this year's 2026 International Women's Day is this one by Real Worry Pekin. Let's hear what she has to say.
Marriage, children, career, stability, all should happen in a woman's life before a certain age. Hey, pressure to cry. Who set this timetable for women, sef? Now, why are still a boss? When are you getting married? Where is your child? Why are you still in your father's house? You are too relaxed. You are too ambitious. The constant comparison with peers. Can women breathe? May they breathe. Don't suffocate them. Whew. Women, not let anybody pressure you. If it's not your time, it's not your time. Not use another person's clock to check your time. Make everybody run their race at their own pace. Day whenever break, not many pass. It's your journey. It's your life. Your life is personal, intentional, and fully yours. You don't owe society any explanations for your timing. Marriage no be NYSC posting. Pikin no be group project. And success no get expiry date. Your life no be WAEC timetable. No invigilator dey mark am. Na God dey call result. This International Women's Month, Lush is celebrating women who are boldly rewriting the rules at their own time, in their own way. If you've ever been rushed, pressured, or compared.
Well, to every woman watching us this morning, we celebrate you and we thank you. Happy International Women's Day and month. Now, to what's making waves across the social media space, Daniel Bwala is grilled on past Tinubu criticism on a podcast recently on March 6 in London, titled Renewed Hope or Hopelessness. Mehdi Hassan pressed Daniel Bwala, now the president's special advisor on policy communication, over his pre-2023 statement accusing Tinubu of election manipulation and intimidation. And in this interview, he talks from two sides of his mouth. Let's get to see, and then we'll take comments.
Is not a true representation.
January 22nd, 2023,
You said the petition against him involves massive corruption and misappropriation of funds belonging to the government of Lagos State, abuse of official office, conflict of interest.
I'm glad you said the petition against him.
Yeah.
Document that was taken to court.
That you highlighted.
I wasn't the one that went to court. And at that time, where was I?
You were an opposition member.
Thank you.
So should we not trust you when you say things?
Well, that is the interview that has taken the social media space by storm. Let's see some comments. First, we'll take the press release by Daniel Bwala on this particular issue. In the press statement, it says, in part, in the last 24 hours, social media has exploded over my interview with Mehdi Hassan, albeit with valid opinions. Let me set the record straight. When I signed on to the privilege job granted to me by Mr. President, I was well aware of its implications. Selling ice cream, looking fine, and seeking the praises of men were never part of it. Some of the fiercest critics of my interview cannot even stand local TV anchors. But the task of promoting and defending the president and his administration is what I do with ease and joy. Now, that is Daniel Bwala's own remarks on this. Now, let's take just one comment before we wrap it up. This commenter says, these guys are smart. They know the side they're on, and they comfort themselves with personal interest over their conscience. And to them, it's a fair trade. They have accepted it, and this is just a little price to pay. This interview, regardless of how disgraceful it is, will not add a dent to the APC ship. I'm sorry. Well, those are the comments we can take because we're pressed for time. Now, here's where we draw the curtain on TMI Socials this morning, and also that's where we end the program on This Morning on ITV, on the ITV network. Thank you so much to everyone that contributed to the success of this program, to our insightful guests and all our anchors across our 3 network centers, and also to you, our dearest viewers. Do have yourself a lovely day.
This is ITV.